Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Once again, it is Sovereign Saturday. You have to be mentally tough. Now, you know how I do with these. You know I've talked about this before, but this is something I'll be talking about it again in the future. You know I gotta make this more important than anything else, your mind. If you're talking about being sovereign, if you're talking about having control over your life, you gotta be mentally tough because there are so many things out here that's really hitting at your mind. They ain't hitting at your physicality. You might think it's your physicality, but it's hitting at your mind. All the propaganda, all the days, extending from big, powerful people to people in your own family. In fact, I had somebody hit me up privately. They were talking about they were dealing with some issues with their family. They trying to do some stuff. But you know what? No matter where it's coming from, you have to be mentally tough. First of all, you have to think in your mind, where you trying to go? If you watching this and you ain't watching it just, it's just happened to be on, but you're a regular viewer of my Sovereign Saturday videos, you have to be mentally tough. Because trust me, there's always going to be something to come for you. There's always. You trying to have control over your life. You maybe trying to run a business, maybe trying to really move up in some corporation you working for, whatever the case. You trying to have that mindset. Oh, there's always going to be somebody who's going to come for you. In order to deal with it, you have to be mentally tough. Because as I always say, the path to success is never a straight line. I wish it was. This is a squiggly ball. You're going to go through some stuff. You're going to go through some trials and tribulations. I've talked about some stuff. Shoot, when I went through my stroke over a year ago, that was a definite trial and tribulation. That was a definite trial and tribulation. But you know what? I got through it. I couldn't walk. I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat through my throat. But yet I was still, you know what? During that time, once I got out the therapy center, I was tough enough to still do some videos. I was like, nah, here I am. Here I am. You got to be tough to get through that. And that was a medical thing. But a lot of times we're getting some mental thing. You might get a mate. You might get a mate who wants you to go in a different direction. That's really tough. Someone you sleeping with saying, oh no, I don't think you can do that. And see, they can get you more than anything else. That's why it's important when you mate, you get somebody who is in cooperation with your operation. And really that's for the men and the women who watch this channel, because I know I got some women. But regardless of your gender, regardless of what you want to call yourself, regardless of what gender you go for your mate, you still got to be mentally tough. And then you're going to be out there. I remember working on different jobs. I've had 1,000 jobs, but working on different jobs where, I remember working for the government and someone saying, oh yeah, Rom, he ain't going to do all this stuff. Or I remember working in a private industry, in a retail place. This woman who really didn't know anything about me saying, oh yeah, Rom's just a dreamer. And it's like, come on now, you're gonna hit that. And they doing it with a smile. They think they doing you a favor. You gotta keep going no matter what. I'm gonna tell you something now. That's why it said when you have some type of dream, you trying to go someplace, you don't tell people. You just go ahead and do it. Because they think they helping you out. They think they'll tell you everything happening. I remember when I wanted to first start writing, it was a woman who I had been out with. We had gone out a few times and everything. She actually worked for a publishing company. She didn't do anything to help me. She did not do a single thing to help me. This is someone who worked for a publishing company, someone who could have helped, someone who could have gave me some advice. She didn't give me anything positive. All she said was, well, these people don't make it. I was like, come on now. You the main one who could have been telling me something. But you know what? I was mentally tough to even get through that. That's one thing. If no matter what you want to do in life, you're going to have some people going to tell you you can't. You can't do it. And really all they saying is, one, they can't do it. Two, they don't know anybody who's done it. So they just going with the crowd, the herd, anything like that. You know, you have to be mentally tough not to follow the crowd. Most people, hey, let's just be real. Most people, they want to be able to sleep someplace, make enough money to sleep somewhere, have sex every now and then, you know, buy some clothes, maybe do some fun stuff every now and then. If you're trying to be sovereign, you working to be sovereign, you have to like take it to another level. You have to be tough in your mind. Because even from there, even like, you know, I'm known for talking about body game, but even that begins in the mind. No matter what you want to do, whatever idea you have for a business or you want to move up in a certain career, you have to have a mindset because there's always going to be somebody who's going to come after you. And you know what? You're going to just go on and do it, right? No matter what. And then there's going to be some people who just going to be some straight up enemies. They just don't like you. They're going to do everything to try to like put you in a different direction. They might not even know you personally, you know? They might see you do some like videos on here and they'll try to say, well, you should do this or that, you know? I don't even pay attention to them. Used to be I would say, well, you show me how you did it. Wouldn't hear from them anymore. But you're going to get it. That's one thing. Success in life, I don't care what it is. I don't care what you're trying to do. Somebody's going to come for you. You got to be tough up here because that's where they're going to hit. That is where someone is going to try to stop you. But you know what? Because you mentally tough, because you built it, because you've been in those bad positions, but you got through it, you are mentally tough. Think about it. Just the fact that you watching this, that shows mental toughness. Because I'm not known for talking about the man gets woman on here. I'm known for talking about sovereignty. I'm known for talking about making it in life, having some control, doing some stuff. Just the fact you watching this. And I'm quite sure, you know, some of you might have had some people might have watched it, a friend or something, and said, nah, I don't want to watch him. I don't know. Whatever. Look, you trying to do something with your life. You have to be mentally tough. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts. And yes, I'm going to talk about this again and again and again. Because if you working to be sovereign, it doesn't go anyplace. It always starts up here. But if you are not tough up here, what's the point? What is the point? All right. So anyway, that's all I have for today. I want y'all to really think about it. And I want you to keep going. I want every one of you who watches this to be mentally tough. I want every one of you who watches this to be sovereign. Okay? I want you to rise to become the best version of the sovereign person that you are meant to be. All right? And so I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.